Welcome to Commander Tunes with the Nitpicking Nerds.
This time we're tuning up our patron Paul M's Esper Landfall Dakkon Blackblade deck.
That was a mouthful. I'm your host, Joe Cherries.
I'm your host, Beezy, and that makes us the Nitpicking Nerds, bringing you daily content. If you like the daily content, subscribe to the channel for more daily content. If you like us, go to the Patreon and support us financially, and you can check out the link in the description. Takes you to tcgplayer.com, buy cards from that link, and then boom, you buy cards you were going to buy anyway. We get a kickback on the order. Let's just go to the video.
We're getting into the video. This is Commander Tune-Ups, a series where we take your patron-submitted decks and we upgrade it under whatever restrictions you may have. Those restrictions can include budget. They can be a theme. They can be basically whatever you want. You only want to build with blue cards in your Golos deck. That could be a restriction. But this is a Dakkon Blackblade deck. And before we get to restrictions or whatever, we're going to go ahead and we're going to read Dakkon Blackblade.
Not much to read. 2 white, blue, blue, black for a star, and the stars are equal to the number of lands you control. This is an Esper Landfall deck. The theme of the deck is putting extra lands into play to power up Dakkon Blackblade. And the game plan, well, we're going to back up our gigantic Dakkon Blackblade with premium protection and evasion and just swing in for lethal the old-fashioned way.
Yes, so we're going to make Dakkon really, really big and make him punch.
Make him punch. Yeah, one of the only restriction for this deck, really, there was no budget restriction. He just said Dakkon Blackblade must be one of the win conditions. So guess what? We're building the best darn Dakkon Blackblade deck we can.
Yes, so this took a minute for us to come up with the idea and the direction. It felt like this deck was a combination of ideas rather than a solid deck. So we tried to push it in a direction.
Yeah, the deck list we got sent was more of like a bunch of cards he was thinking about, and the mana base was basically there. But we cut all the stuff we didn't want to go with, and then we added all the stuff we did want to go with. So let's talk about what cards are the best that were already in the deck.
So these are the cards already in the deck, best for the game plan, and we just want to go over them quickly so we can say, hey, this is what the deck was doing and doing well, and we're going to build off of that.
What do we got?
We have first Tragic Arrogance. This is a board wipe that's already very good, but we only care about one creature in our whole deck. It's Dakkon, so we're willing to wipe everything else off the board and just leave our deck.
We don't have any preference toward any one type. So Dakkon Blackblade is just going to get through. Oh, I'll leave you with a tapped creature. Smack your face for whatever Dakkon Blackblade's power is. It's a board wipe that is also evasion.
Yeah, exactly. So that's a good way to sneak through a hit with Dakkon Blackblade. And also, like we said, we don't care about keeping our other creatures. Ugin the Spirit Dragon, well, we're ramping a lot. This is a weird Esper ramp deck, so a big giant threat, that's going to do well.
How about it's a board wipe that is also evasion, because Dakkon's mana cost is 6. So you wipe everything out 5 or less, and then you can't be blocked.
Yeah, exactly. So, yeah, exactly. You just -5. Everything pretty much is gone except for maybe 1 or 2 other things, and then your huge deck is just punching.
I promise you someone is shields down if you -5 an Ugin.
Almost.
I promise you.
Almost certainly, yeah. Search for Azcanta. Love this card. It's a land that scries in your upkeep. Well, it's an enchantment that scries in your upkeep, and it flips when you have 7 or more cards in your graveyard. I really like this.
Because it turns into a land,
yeah,
and then draws you cards. So it's going to count towards Dakkon. All the ramp in this deck should be putting extra lands into play. That's what Dakkon wants. And as you see when we get to the cuts, we cut a lot of cards that don't do that thing.
Yeah, we want ramp. We want lands in play, and having an enchantment that'll give us advantage, and it turns into a land that, well, gets us advantage is going to be great.
Yes. Teferi, Master of Time, is also in this deck. It's a really good magic card. I was never going to cut this because Dakkon Blackblades are made win condition. So we don't want any planeswalkers that usurp that. Well, he says take 2 extra turns. Guess what we're going to do with those turns? We're going to kill people with Dakkon Blackblade. So I thought this was great.
Yeah, it works perfectly. Nexus of Fate, another extra turn. We're fine with it. We want extra turns in this deck. This deck could potentially draw out, but not all the time. But on the same note, it's just one of the best. One of these extra turn spells. The instant speed just adds such a next level to these.
Such a next level?
Such a next level.
Wow. Nexus of Fate is a very good magic card. It's going to give us extra turns to beat up people with Dakkon Blackblade where they don't expect it. And as a insurance policy, we can't be milled, and also sometimes we take infinite turns.
Yeah.
Or multiple turns.
The not being milled thing is actually pretty crazy sometimes.
Just put it in your deck. Now you can't be milled. Wow, that was easy. I didn't even do anything.
The craziest thing about it is it's not just you can't be milled. If someone doesn't know it's in your deck, they go to mill you, you can just win.
Yes. If someone doesn't know it's in your deck and they Altar of Dementia combo everybody at the table, you can go, hey, you lose now. I'm going to untap and then I'm going to take infinite turns and attack you an infinite number of times.
Yeah, it can just completely backfire on you when you go for that mill win if they have a Nexus of Fate in the deck.
Yeah, it's weird because technically they should probably know you have a Nexus of Fate before you're milled out. But who wants to live in a world where we go mill you for 2, mill you for 2, mill you for 2, mill you for 2, instead of just mill you for 100 right now?
Exactly. Yeah, most people don't do that. And even if they do, they're going to mill you a ton, and then you're going to be fine. And
you just get free consistency off of it. We're talking about this way too much. Nexus of Fate is good.
It's very good, yes. Dreamscape Artist, well, we're an Esper, so it's tough for us to really ramp lands. This lets us ramp lands.
And it puts lands in our graveyard, which we want them there because we have to jump through a bunch of hoops to get more lands into play than usual. We also have Burnished Heart for the same reason. Sad Robot. They were shoo-ins for this deck. You probably already knew they were in here.
They put lands into play, and again, we're not in green. It's so tough to do that, so we really got to stretch. We want the Burnished Heart, we want the Solemn Simulacrums.
Obvious includes. What about this next one?
This is Mox Diamond. This card's insane. It's basically a land drop itself. What puts land in the graveyard? If we weren't able to use those lands in the graveyard, I'd say get this out of here because we want land wrap. We're gonna get that land back a lot.
Yeah, the discarding the land is an upside on Mox Diamond, so I left it in. Also, Mox Diamond's good. Field of the Dead is the last land. It's actually the best land in all of Commander ever. It's the best Magic card ever printed. So we're gonna get a poop load of 2/2 zombies for free. I mean, this is an actual deck where Field of the Dead is amazing.
Yeah, well, in lands decks,
Landfall.
In landfall decks, Field of the Dead is one of the best lands in the whole deck. BZ exaggerating a poop ton.
No, it is the best card ever made in any trading card game. I don't think I'm exaggerating.
I've been working on over-exaggerated eye rolls so that the camera can pick them up.
Oh, perfect. Before we get to the ads and cuts, we're going to run down the budget. Our set goal was nothing, so we can't possibly mess up, but we spent $157 on the following cards we're about to tell you. The original average TMC of the deck was 3.11, and we raised it a little bit to 3.27. That's negligible. The deck itself wasn't even a fully constructed deck because it had a bunch of different themes in it. So I'd say overall, we're amazing. And then the number of changes was 37. So let's get into those 37 ads.
Yes, we're going to go over each and every single one of these ads so that you can know what we added to the deck. And then after that, we're going to tell you what we cut, and we're going to explain why each step of the way. First, we have ways to have extra lands in play. We got Wayfarer's Bauble Classic. Everyone's heard about it at this point. If you haven't, go watch any Command Quarters video.
Yeah, don't leave home without a Wayfarer's Bauble in your non-green deck. It's just a good card. The Thematic Compass is like an all-star in this deck because it comes out, helps you hit land drops, and then flips into Maze of Ith to deter attacking from you. It's so good.
Yeah, you don't have a ton of defenses. Thematic Compass being a Maze of Ith is awesome, and it just flips into another land that, one, taps for mana if you needed to, and it's Maze of Ith when you need it to.
It just is one of the most bread and butter, like we need it cards in this whole deck. It's very, very good. Number 3 is a card people sleep on. Walking Atlas is pretty sweet if your deck can draw cards and you're not in green, and sometimes even if you are in green, because it just says it's exploration. If you can put out a land, meet the criteria, and this is exploration.
When you're in green, you just get to play the Tribe Scout, so it's better.
Yeah, you might want to, I mean, this is like the third best one, but green even still wants this effect, but I think it's pretty sweet. Not a lot of people play it, so we're drawing cards. We've got extra lands to put out. Well, this is just going to double our ramp, and it doesn't look very threatening.
Yeah, exactly. All the cards that give us extra land drops are green, so we need things like Walking Atlas to really help us put the extra lands we're getting onto the battlefield. Sivin's Reclamation, you can just return your fetch lands, and this deck is not a budget deck, so you're not going to believe this, but it actually has fetch lands.
It actually has fetch lands. We actually didn't add any fetches. It had the 3 on color fetches, and we just didn't add any more. Obviously, if you want to play more, you can go up to the full, I think, 7 or 8 if you count Prismatic Vista, but fetch lands are amazing. Sivin's Reclamation, like with Mox Diamond, we have other ways to put them in the graveyard. It can even get back like Burnished Hearts or Thematic Compasses that die. This is one of the best cards in the whole deck.
Also, you're thinking wrong. 3-color decks get to play 9.
Oh yeah, 9.
Yeah.
There's only 1 off color, and then so 10 with Prismatic Vista.
Yeah, I mean this deck probably wants more of them, but we're not going to tell you to use off color fetches if you don't want to. If you really want to make this deck as strong as possible, you probably want at least 3 or 4 more fetches.
Yeah, just it's a little awkward because you still want to have a critical mass of basics because that's a lot of the lands you can get with some of these cards. So we've added 3 fetches in this deck. There's 3. You can add more. Archaeomancer's Map, brand new threat from a brand new set. It's sort of like a white Cultivate is what I've been hearing, because if this is, and it's a little awkward in this deck because we're trying to have more lands than anybody else, but what happens is it comes out, draws you 2 planes, and then if you didn't go first and this is a turn 3 play, you get a guaranteed ramp. And otherwise, if you're ahead or it's like late in the game, it just draws 2 lands. That's not even that bad.
Yeah, especially because we have ways to put them in, like the Walking Atlas that we just talked about. The main thing you just got to think about with this card is it's always going to get you 2 cards, so it's always going to be a 2-for-1. And we care about lands enough that it's fine that we're drawing lands.
We have plenty of landfall. Dakkon Blackblade gets +1/+1 each time we put a land out. It's just we never want to miss a land drop for the whole game.
Exactly. Yeah, we want to, and we just want to keep playing more and more lands. So draw 2 is going to help. Mirage Mirror, it's the best permanent in play. Often the best land in play.
I want to watch a game where you attack with the Dakkon Blackblade and they block with a pretty big creature for a trade, and then you turn Mirage Mirror into a land to give it +1/+1.
That would be pretty cool.
It can also just be your Field of the Dead to give you more triggers. It's a pretty versatile effect. And, I mean, there's probably some universe where it matters that it could become Dakkon Blackblade for a turn. Maybe.
There's other things that you can do, too. It's always the best creature in play. It's always the best enchantment in play. It's always the best whatever's in play.
Absolutely. Next up is Profane Procession. It's an enchantment that lets you pay 5, exile a creature, and then when you exile 3 things under it, you flip it into a land that can now put those cards into play. And the nice part about this is it's a nice little mana sink for all of our extra lands we're putting out. We can just keep exiling commanders because no one is going to trap their commander under this enchantment for the whole game. No one's going to do that.
Yeah, if they do, you're never going to let it out. You're just going to leave it in exile forever.
That's a fair trade. I will pay 8 mana to say you don't get to play your commander for the rest of the game, guaranteed.
Yeah, that's mean.
That's their fault.
Yeah, it is their fault. It's also mean.
Yes, it is also mean.
It can be both.
Right. And then once you have their commander trapped, you could still just exile other things.
Up next is Core Cartographer. Pretty simple. It puts a land in play.
Cool. We need that. Trove Warden, Landfall, lets you exile a permanent from your graveyard, CMC 3 or less. Then when it dies, you get them all back. So you can play fetch lands, use the fetch land triggers to exile the fetch lands, and then when this eventually dies or we sacrifice it, boom, it just comes back and it represents 3, 4, 5 permanents, and it doesn't really ask you to spend any mana, so that's nice. Sun Titan, this card's amazing, and it hits lands. We're going to play cards that do that.
Sun Titan's great. This card's always been great. I just love it. Gets back lands if you need it to, or it just gets back any little tiny stupid thing. Your Thematic Compass died early. Okay, Thematic Compass is back, and now it's flipping.
Right, it's just going to flip right away. The last way to get extra lands in play is my favorite, because it's Oblivion Sower. It steals opponents' lands, all of them, from exile after exiling top 4. So you can do things like play that Ashiok. There's an Ashiok in this deck that mills 4 and then exiles their graveyard. So if they've got a thick graveyard, you just mill them for 4. Then you play Oblivion Sower, and you're going to get like 6 to 10 lands for just a 6-drop.
Yeah, Bajuka Bog. Simple as that. Bajuka Bog your opponent who's been milled or whatever.
Just been playing Magic, fetching.
Exactly. Fetching, playing Magic, and then, first you exile 4 extra cards, and then you get all the lands. This is pretty sweet for this deck.
It's one of the best ones in the deck for sure. Now let's talk about some landfall cards real quick.
First we have Amira Angel. This just makes little 1/1 flyer guys. I have this actually in my Flyers tribal deck.
Yeah, it's just going to sit there and make chump blockers, or as a backup win condition if Dakkon goes away, we have Felidar Retreat that can just pump our entire team and just poop out 2/2s and then make them 10/10s over the course of the game. Also, works with Dakkon, gives them vigilance.
One of my favorite things about this Felidar Retreat card is after a board wipe, it doesn't just do nothing. Like, usually you want to put counters. That is the better mode of this card. But after a board wipe, you just go, all right, I'll just make 2/2s instead.
Yeah, all right. I respect your board wipe, but I'm going to play Field of the Dead and then end up with 6 2/2s. Go ahead. And the next turn, they're going to be 4/4s.
Yeah, exactly. The card is great. Cosima, whatever. God of the Voyage. This card is super weird. You're going to have to tell me what it does.
Once you exile it, you put Voyage counters on it when you play land. So every landfall, where we're trying to get extras, lets you then, when she returns, draw extra cards. So it's going to be 3 mana, probably like draw 8.
Doesn't it do something with playing opponent's lands too on the other side?
We don't care about that. The Omen Keel, when it hits opponent, you exile top 3. And then you can play lands from among those.
Yeah, but
it's a combo with Oblivion Sower.
It's also a random synergy for our deck. Like,
sure, if you have to play the Omen Kill, I would recommend never playing the Omen Kill.
I agree. The Omen Kill is the worst side, but it's also synergy, so it's cool.
It is slightly cooler. How about Emiria Shepherd? This is a 7-drop. We don't have a ton of beefy boys, so this is a 7-drop that when landfall comes in, it gets our stuff back. It doesn't get back lands because that goes infinite with itself, but it does get back all of our things that have died.
BZ used to think it.
I have thought that I'm like, Terramorphic Expanse? I win the game? It's like, no, they thought of that, actually.
It's non-lands for a reason. See your sundial. Whenever a land enters the battlefield into your control, you can pay 2. If you do, draw a card.
I think this card's pretty bad in general, but I think this deck needs it. And once we're going to have so many lands that this terrible, inefficient card can actually do things.
Yeah, I mean, this is basically bad tireless tracker.
Yep.
You have to invest right away instead of later.
More expensive tireless tracker with none of the options.
Yeah, it's unfortunate, but we're not in green. Dakkon, why aren't you green?
Next is a card that I've never put into a deck before this one. It's Whisper Silk Cloak. I don't think this card is very good, just first of all. I think this deck is so niche and specific to what it wants to do that Whisper Silk Cloak giving Shroud and Unblockable sort of pulls double duty for evasion and protection from spot removal. So I did add it. In general, though, I don't recommend ever playing this card in Commander. This is a very corner case spot for it.
Yeah, if we were grading this card, it'd probably get like a solid D minus,
Yeah.
where you would almost never want to play this card, but this is the deck. This is the deck, baby, that wants it.
It's not a 0%. And whatever 0.1% it is, that this deck happens to fall into that.
It might be the only deck that it falls
Maybe
into.
the only deck ever made.
Next, Fact or Fiction. Amazing draw. We don't really have to talk about how good Fact or Fiction is.
Fills your graveyard.
It does. It fills your graveyard. We can put lands in there. Compulsive Research. Just have this one wants you to discard a land. We're fine with discarding lands.
Yes, we would love to, actually. Mystic Confluence is nice protection. You can counter spells that are going to target Dakkon. You can bounce Dakkon if you really want to, or you can just use it to draw 3 cards. Very versatile. Heliod's Intervention and Soul Shatter, they're just like 3-for-1s. Heliod Intervention might be even better.
Yeah, these are just good removal spells. There's not really, again, no need to go into super amount of detail. We need to add some removal, so we added some good removal.
Backing up Dakkon with the best. Backing up Dakkon.
Next, we're going to talk about the lands we added. We don't have to go crazy talking about these. Mirror Landscape. We love it. It's extra land drops in a non-green deck. Landfall matters. There's like 50 other reasons to play it in this deck.
Oh, yeah. Rogue's Passage is evasion on a land. I actually like it. We have ways to search for it. There's an expedition map in this deck, too. Paducah Bog, Graveyard Hate. Very important for Field of the Dead. Snow-covered plains, snow-covered island, snow-covered swamp. It makes Field of the Dead almost a guaranteed trigger on turn when you hit your 7th land.
Yes, and we have fetch lands in this deck, so when you fetch, you can choose, do you need the snow-covered or do you need the regular?
Mirror Landscape can also grab one of each.
Yeah, wow. I mean, so silly. I mean, I hate snow-covered lands.
We don't like snow-covered lands as a design. We like them in Magic because they're good.
We have these are all the crowd lands, yes. Sea of Clouds, Morphic Pools, Volta Champions. It's just this, it's all of the Esper crowd lands.
Yeah, they're just like the second or third best duels. They weren't in this deck, so guess what? Now they are. And then we added some MDFCs, just going to run them down. You know we love MDFCs and play them all the time. Academ's Awakening, Amiri's Call, Ondu Inversion, Sajiri's Shelter, Haggard Mauling, and Seagate Restoration to round out the ads.
So now we're on to cuts. And for the cuts, we're just going to start with these Planeswalkers. There was a ton of Planeswalkers in this deck.
More than I thought. So we cut Elspeth, Sun's Champion, Teferi, Hero of Dominaria, Ugin the Ineffable, a.k.a. Ugin the Virgin, Narset, Parter Veils, and Liliana, Dreadhorde General. That we don't have enough creatures or support for any one of these cards, and I'm not about to go out of my way to support a Planeswalker role when our win condition is going to be Dakkon Blackblade, gosh darn it. So we also cut the Chain Veil and Oath of Teferi.
Yeah, this just doesn't. We didn't feel this was a Planeswalker deck, and we didn't really see what is Dakkon doing to support Planeswalkers. Really, not much. So we're not looking to go that route.
And what are Planeswalkers doing to support Dakkon? I mean, we left in like Teferi, who can move creatures out of the way and give you extra turns, but other than that.
Next, we have Karmic Guide and Revlark. This isn't the creature deck. There's not enough creatures in this list to really want these cards. Yeah, these cards are good. Yeah, they go infinite with each other. But really, when you want to be playing them isn't just to go infinite with each other. It's when they can be great value pieces by themselves that also just happen to combo.
We can't devote spots to Karmic Guide, Revlark, and then we'd have to add a sack outlet, multiple sack outlets into the deck, maybe like tutors or something. It's just not what we're interested in at all. Vesuvian Doppelganger, or I think that's what it's called. It might be Vesuvian Shapeshifter. It's just not a good card. It's just a really expensive clone that we have no interest in. If any clone you should play, I guess it's Spark Double, but we didn't play that either. There's also Replenish. We're not an enchantment deck. We did not go that route, so there's no Replenish. Rite of Replication has nothing to do with Dakkon as far as I can tell. I'm not trying to win with somebody else's thing. I want to win with my thing. And Yawgmoth's Will, not a Storm deck.
Yep, we're not a Storm deck. Most of these cards are they're just not on theme. They're all fine cards.
They're like generic.
I'll play Rite of Replication, great card. I'll play Replenish, great card. I'll play Yawgmoth's Will. Just not in this deck where they don't fit.
Yeah, they just don't. They're not going to help us at all. Crystal Shard is nice. It's a way to protect Dakkon, but Dakkon's already so expensive. We have a bunch of free counter magic in this deck. There's Force of Will, there's Pact of Negation, there's Fierce Guardianship, there's even Swan Song. We're going to be able to protect them. If you look at this deck list in the description, the deck's really good on instants. So we have no need for Crystal Shard. And what else do we have no need for?
Well, we have no need for Ghostly Prisoner Propaganda.
Never.
Not really interested in that at all. Doesn't
Ever.
really fit the deck plan. It just doesn't fit what we're trying to do. Reality Acid? Sorry, I don't even know why. I don't think this card's very good, and I'm not interested in it
It's going to
at all.
enchantment matter removal. We're not enchantments matter, and we don't need slow removal. More controversial, though, we cut Mana Vault, Grim Monolith, Talisman of Dominance, Felwar Stone, Arcane Signet, and we also cut Mox Opal from this deck because they're mana rocks, and we can't devote 30 slots to ramp. All of our ramp needs to put extra lands in play.
Yes, you can play these. Like, these cards will do good things, but the thing is, we're focusing on the game plan, and the game plan is get Dakkon out. And if we're just ramping Dakkon out, he's just smaller.
Yeah, let's say we go through the trouble of playing Mana Vault on turn 1, then we play Arcane Signet on turn 2, and then we go boom, turn 3, Dakkon Blackblade with Swan Song backup. He's a 3/3. That does not help us.
Not interested.
I don't want to ramp out a 3/3.
Exactly, that's the problem. Like,
Let's just wait and then protect him.
it's all about sticking to the game plan, and we don't. Again, we're not just building for power to be a combo deck. Yeah, we can go Dakkon Blackblades at the helm, and what are we doing? Okay, we're going infinite with Basalt Monolith, Rings of Bright Hearth, and Walking Ballista.
We have a
Boom.
Doomsday package. It's like, no. Dakkon Blackblade's how we win. Ride or die, Dakkon Blackblade. We don't need Mox Opal to, like, we don't have to babysit Mox Opal and try to get 3 artifacts out when we could just play a slightly slower way to put lands into play.
I agree. And it's weird because this isn't how you're almost any other Esper deck where I'm going to build an Esper deck. It's going to have all these kind of ramp cards because that's what we want to be doing because that's our best. It is the most efficient way to ramp. But it's not the most effective when your commander is Dakkon freaking Blackblade.
All right, these next cuts are really easy. We cut Retreat to Coralhelm. It's a nice landfall. It just was kind of basically the last cut. And Path to Exile, we ended up putting in better removal, and we already have swords. So we also cut Tarnished Citadel, Sarah's Sanctum, not on theme. Maze of Ith, we're really not going to play this almost ever. And then 3 plains, 3 islands, 3 swamps. We had too many basics. There's still some left, but now we have a better mana base, just going to be healthier and easier to fix all your colors.
Yeah, the easiest thing to think about is, okay, so one of each of those became the
Snow-covered.
The snow-covered, and then one of each of those became the
Crowdlands.
Now, so we cut 3, one of each. There's still basics in here.
Yeah, there's still, I think there's like 10.
There was a lot of basics, which we need basics. Don't get me wrong. We are going to need basics. We have fetches. We're playing Solemns. We're playing Burnished Hearts. We're playing Myriad Landscape. Yeah, we do need basics.
Totally. So that is the video. Joe, do the shoutouts.
Special shoutouts to all of our patrons. We love you all as much as we can without making you uncomfortable. You guys are awesome. I want to make sure I say it every video because I know not everybody watches every single video. So I really want to make sure I thank you guys every video and say
we appreciate you.
Thank you.
You guys mean a lot to us, and you're helping us live our dreams. So then you can also, if you want to support us, but not support us through Patreon, you can buy cards you were going to buy anyway through the description. There's a link to TCG Player. Go there, navigate, buy cards. We get money out of not your pocket. Sounds good to me. And also, there's a Discord we have, which is a really good spot for playing Commander games. We're launching probably 3 games at any given time most days, in the peak. Do you have anything to offer?
I was letting you do the shoutouts, but I was working on hand farts while you were doing that.
Yeah, I just meant in general. To anything.
Do I have anything to offer? Yeah, hand farts are kind of fun to do.
Do you have a tidbit?
A tidbit? I'm not very good at doing hand farts.
No, it's kind of annoying.
Can you do it? BZ, you know what? That makes sense. BZ has a skin and bones. There is no way a bunch of bones. Oh, he's doing it! He's doing it!
That's got to be a tidbit enough. That's enough.
I like how BZ's like, that's annoying. And then as soon as he started doing it, he's like, this is funny.
It's always like, I can do the next one better.
Peace out, Chive Scout.
Mature content.